All right, welcome to another deep dive. You ready to explore some seriously mind-bending stuff today?
Always up for a good cosmic adventure.
Okay, so today's guidebook is Michio Kushi's Other Dimensions, Exploring the Unexplained. It was published back in 1992, but
But it's still packed with ideas that make you rethink everything you thought you knew about the universe.
right, we're talking about extraterrestrial encounters,
Energy medicine.
even modern alchemy, like the stuff of legends.
Kushi doesn't just throw these concepts out there, though. He backs them up with historical accounts
Scientific experiments.
and connections to ancient wisdom.
It's like he's piecing together a puzzle that most people don't even know exists.
And the picture it paints is pretty mind-blowing.
So let's start with something tangible,
Okay.
like this Piri-Reis map.
Ah, the 1513 map that supposedly shows Antarctica.
Centuries before it was officially discovered.
Exactly. So either we're talking about an incredibly lucky guess,
Or ancient civilizations had some serious cartography skills.
skills that we're only beginning to rediscover now.
And Kushi doesn't stop there. He points to ancient texts too, like the Dronaparva from India.
And even the Bible, specifically Genesis chapter 6.
Both of them describe these aerial vehicles and beings that sound a lot like what we call.
Extraterrestrials.
Right. It's like he's drawing a line from those ancient accounts of flying chariots or beings descending from the heavens to modern-day UFO sightings.
And then there are those mysterious structures found all over the world, like the Wyoming medicine wheel.
All these incredible feats of engineering that Kushi suggests weren't just random piles of rocks.
But potentially astronomical observatories built by ancient cultures who knew way more about the cosmos than we give them credit for.
It's like we're looking at the remnants of a lost civilization that was far more advanced than we ever imagined.
A civilization that might have even had contact with beings from other worlds.
And speaking of extraterrestrial contact,
Kushi actually provides a framework for understanding those UFO experiences that people report.
you mean J. Allen Hynek's classifications of close encounters?
Exactly, ranging from simple sightings of unexplained lights.
All the way to alleged abductions.
This classification system is important because it helps us move beyond just dismissing these accounts as fantasy or delusion.
It's about taking them seriously and looking for patterns and potential explanations.
And when it comes to the question of whether we're alone in the universe,
Kushi seems to be leaning towards a pretty clear no.
he even proposes this spiral model for the solar system that suggests life could exist on other planets.
Which could explain some of those UFO sightings.
He seems to be suggesting that the universe is teeming with life and that interactions between different civilizations
Both within and beyond our solar system.
might be a lot more common than we think.
It's a pretty radical concept, but it's one that Kushi explores with a lot of depth and intriguing evidence.
And it's all connected to this idea of energy, this universal life force that flows through everything.
You mean ki?
Yes, ki. Kushi explains how ki is influenced by the forces of heaven and earth.
Which forms the basis of Oriental medicine,
It's not just about treating physical symptoms.
but about understanding the energy that animates our bodies and working to restore balance within that system.
And to understand this better,
Kushi introduces us to the 7 chakras,
these energy centers located along the spine.
each influencing different bodily functions.
He also talks about the aura,
That colored field of energy that surrounds each of us.
reflecting our physical and mental state.
It's like a visual representation of our ki.
And its color and vibrancy can tell us a lot about our overall well-being.
So it's not just about what's going on inside our bodies, but also this energy that we're radiating outwards.
And here's where it gets even more interesting.
Kushi connects ki to what we eat.
He explains how food can be understood in terms of its energetic properties,
Yin and yang.
and how this ancient concept can guide us towards a more balanced and healthy diet.
So it's not just about calories and nutrients.
It's about understanding the energetic impact of different foods on our bodies and choosing wisely to support our overall vitality.
It's almost like food becomes a form of energy medicine in itself.
Exactly. And speaking of energy,
Kushi takes us on a deep dive into modern alchemy.
it starts with a reminder of how modern science rediscovered ancient knowledge about the transformation of elements.
Through the work of pioneers like
Galileo,
Torricelli,
and Pascal.
it's like we came full circle.
Realizing that what ancient alchemists were seeking, the transmutation of elements, might actually be possible with modern scientific understanding.
We're talking about actually transforming one element into another,
Like turning lead into gold.
though maybe with a slightly more practical application.
He points to the spiral arrangement of elements on the periodic table as evidence.
showing their evolution from simpler to more complex forms,
almost like musical octaves.
each representing a higher level of complexity and energy,
And then he goes on to describe successful experiments in transmutation.
where one element is actually transformed into another.
He highlights the work of George Osawa and Louis Kervran, who reportedly transmuted sodium into potassium.
If these findings are accurate,
The implications are enormous.
imagine a world where we could create any element we need.
Solving resource shortages and potentially unlocking clean, limitless energy sources.
It sounds like something out of science fiction.
But Kushi presents it as a very real possibility, a testament to the untapped potential of both ancient wisdom and modern science.
It's like he's saying we've only scratched the surface of what's truly possible.
And that we need to expand our thinking to encompass these seemingly impossible ideas.
To break free from the limitations of our current paradigms and explore the full spectrum of what the universe has to offer.
And that exploration leads us into another fascinating aspect of Kushi's work:
His exploration of consciousness,
past lives,
future lives.
and the spiritual world.
He introduces the concepts of the yukai, the physical world, and the yutai, the spiritual world.
Explaining how humans experience life in both realms,
It's a perspective that challenges our typical Western understanding of life and death.
suggesting that our current existence is just one chapter in a much larger story that extends beyond the physical realm.
It's a lot to take in, but it definitely makes you think about the bigger picture.
And that bigger picture includes the challenges facing humanity in the 21st century.
Kushi doesn't shy away from those.
He paints a stark picture of the environmental crisis
The nuclear threat.
and the social decline he observed in the late 20th century.
But he doesn't leave us in despair,
Instead, he highlights the potential for positive change.
pointing to the growing awareness of holistic health and spiritual principles as a sign that we're moving in the right direction.
He envisions a future world government based on natural law.
Guided by wise elders who understand the interconnectedness of all things.
He even proposes a new world calendar based on a deeper understanding of cosmology and natural cycles.
A calendar that would align our lives more closely with the rhythms of the universe.
It's a hopeful vision of a future where humanity embraces a more holistic and spiritual approach to life.
One that honors the interconnectedness of all things and strives for balance and harmony.
But the question is,
How do we get there?
how do we actually start living in alignment with these principles and create that brighter future?
Well, that's something we'll explore further in part 2 of our deep dive into other dimensions.
So stay tuned. It's a vision that requires a pretty big shift in our thinking, right?
So how do we actually get there? Like, how do we start living in alignment with these principles that Kushi talks about?
Well, he offers some practical guidance. He emphasizes developing our spiritual awareness.
Okay, but isn't that like a natural process?
It is. It unfolds as we live in harmony with nature, but we can also cultivate it through certain practices, like diet, for example.
So this is where macrobiotics comes in.
Exactly. Kushi was a big advocate for macrobiotics.
Emphasizing whole grains,
Vegetables.
all those natural foods that help harmonize the energies within our bodies.
So it's not just about what we eat, but the energy of the food itself. Exactly. He dives deep into the energetic qualities of different foods, their yin and yang aspects.
And by choosing foods that are in tune with our individual constitution and the seasons.
We can find greater balance and support our overall well-being.
It's almost like food becomes this tool for fine-tuning our energy.
Like an instrument that we can use to play different melodies within ourselves.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
What about those energetic blockages that Kushi talks about?
Yes, the spiritual plumbing, so to speak.
Do we need to call in a specialist for that?
Not necessarily. Kushi suggests practices like conscious eating,
Where we really savor the flavors
the textures.
and even the energy of our food,
He also talks about vibrational exercises
using specific sounds and breathing techniques.
to harmonize those energies within us.
And let's not forget the power of our interactions with others.
Right. Gratitude, reassurance, encouragement.
All of these things contribute to a more harmonious energy flow.
Because our energy affects those around us and vice versa.
It's like this constant exchange, this energetic dance that we're all participating in.
And speaking of dancing, Kushi also emphasizes the importance of dispelling illusions.
Illusions, like what kind of illusions?
Those false perceptions of reality that can cloud our judgment and hold us back from true happiness.
They can come from past traumas,
Unhealthy attachments.
or just a limited understanding of how things really work,
It's about doing that inner work,
facing our fears,
acknowledging our attachment,
and letting go of what no longer serves us.
to experience a more authentic and fulfilling life.
Sounds like a lot of self-reflection.
It is. But Kushi provides tools for this work. He encourages self-reflection, meditation, and honest self-appraisal.
And it's not just about individual transformation, right?
Now, Kushi also had some bold predictions for the future of humanity as a whole.
He saw the 21st century as this time of great upheaval,
Transition.
filled with both challenges and opportunities.
He believed we're at a turning point.
And the choices we make, both individually and collectively,
Will determine the course of our destiny.
he talked about the potential for a golden age.
But also, there's very real threats we face. The environmental crisis,
The nuclear threat.
the decline of core values.
It's like we're standing at a crossroads.
And we have to decide which path we want to take.
The path of harmony and balance.
Or the path of destruction and chaos.
So what did Kushi predict would actually happen? Did he have a crystal ball or something?
Well, he didn't claim to be a fortune teller, but he did outline a timeline for the 21st century.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for us. What did he see happening?
He divided the century into 5 distinct periods,
Yeah.
each marked by specific social
Political.
and spiritual developments.
Let's start with the first period. What did he call that?
The first period, from 1982 to 2002, he called the period of world health and ecology.
So a focus on well-being and the environment.
Exactly. He predicted a growing awareness of natural foods,
Holistic health practices.
a shift away from conventional medicine towards a more preventative and holistic approach.
It's interesting because we are seeing those trends emerge. Alternative medicine is becoming more mainstream. People are more conscious of what they're eating.
There's a growing movement towards sustainability and environmental protection.
It's like that seed that Kushi planted back in the 90s is starting to sprout,
And in the second period, from 2002 to 2042,
which he called key modern alchemy and transmutation.
he predicted rapid scientific advancements.
A rediscovery of ancient knowledge about transforming elements and harnessing natural energy sources, like the solar wind.
This is where the concept of modern alchemy really takes center stage.
The idea that we can transform matter and energy in ways that we previously thought were impossible,
He believed these breakthroughs would revolutionize how we produce and consume energy.
leading to a more sustainable future.
A future where we're no longer reliant on fossil fuels or other polluting technologies.
It's a powerful vision. And what about the third period?
From 2042 to 2062.
He called it the period of world philosophy and consciousness.
He believed that those scientific advancements would lead to a profound shift in our understanding of consciousness,
In the nature of reality itself,
leading to the emergence of new philosophies and spiritual practices.
that embrace a more holistic and interconnected view of the universe,
A view that recognizes the interconnectedness of all things.
and the importance of living in harmony with nature and each other.
And then comes the fourth period,
Between 2062 to 2082.
which he called world travel and politics.
Interesting. What did he see happening there?
He envisioned advancements in transportation technology, making global travel more accessible,
Leading to increased cultural exchange and understanding,
and a shift in global politics.
away from national sovereignty towards a more unified world order,
It's like he saw the world becoming a smaller place,
where people from different cultures and backgrounds could connect and collaborate more easily.
leading to greater understanding and cooperation.
It's a hopeful vision. And what about the final period? The grand finale of the 21st century.
The fifth and final period, from 2082 to 2102, Kushi called the period of world government.
Wow, a single world government. That's a bold prediction.
He believed that the nations of the world would come together to form a single, unified government,
Based on natural law.
guided by those who understood the principles of harmony and balance,
To usher in an era of peace and prosperity.
marked by deep respect for the environment and a commitment to the well-being of all humanity.
It's a utopian vision. A world without war
Poverty.
or environmental destruction.
A world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
It's a beautiful dream. But is it really possible?
That's the question, isn't it? Kushi didn't present these predictions as certainties. He acknowledged that the future is not fixed.
Our choices today shape the world of tomorrow,
So it's not a set-in-stone prophecy.
but rather a potential roadmap, a glimpse into what could be if we choose to move in that direction.
It's about understanding the forces at play in the universe
Aligning ourselves with the principles of harmony and balance.
and working together to create that brighter future.
And speaking of aligning with the universe, what about Kushi's idea for a new world calendar? How did that fit into his predictions?
Ah, yes, the year one calendar.
He felt that the Gregorian calendar was out of sync with the natural rhythms of the universe.
and proposed a new calendar based on a deeper understanding of cosmology and the cycles of Earth and the cosmos.
So what would this new calendar look like?
He envisioned it starting in the year 2102.
Marking a new era for humanity,
It would be a 360-day year.
with 12 months of 30 days each.
Each week would still have 7 days.
But they'd be named after the stars of the Big Dipper instead of the planets.
A calendar in harmony with the cosmos.
Not just the sun.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating idea. But how would such a massive shift be implemented?
Kushi believed the transition would happen organically as humanity evolved toward the more unified and enlightened state of consciousness,
A world where people lived in harmony with nature
understood the principles of energy medicine.
and embraced a more spiritual approach to life. A world where we're more in tune with the rhythms of the cosmos. It's a pretty bold vision, right? Like something out of a sci-fi utopia.
Definitely thought-provoking. Even if we don't buy into every detail of Kushi's predictions, I think there's a valuable takeaway here.
What's that?
He's encouraging us to consider alternative possibilities, to think outside the confines of our current systems and beliefs.
To imagine a better future, even if it seems far-fetched at the moment.
Exactly. He's challenging us to expand our awareness and explore those uncharted territories of human potential.
Okay, so with all these mind-bending concepts and predictions, is there like a central theme that ties everything together in other dimensions?
Absolutely. Throughout the book, Kushi emphasizes the interconnectedness of all things. It's this idea that we're not isolated individuals.
But part of a vast web of life.
Exactly. He reminds us that everything is energy constantly in flux, transforming from one state to another.
And this energy is influenced by those universal forces that we talked about earlier, like the forces of heaven and earth.
Right. Forces that shape not just the physical world, but our consciousness and experiences as well.
So we're not just physical beings, but also energetic beings and spiritual beings, all interconnected and influenced by these larger forces.
He's encouraging us to see ourselves as part of this grand cosmic dance, influenced by forces we may not fully understand, but can learn to work with to create a more harmonious existence.
It's a beautiful way to think about it.
Yeah.
But it also makes you realize the weight of responsibility we each carry.
Exactly. Our actions, thoughts, even the food we eat, they all have an impact on this dance, influencing not just our own lives.
But the lives of others and the evolution of the planet as a whole.
It's a humbling realization, but also an empowering one because it means we have the power to make a difference.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into other dimensions, what are some key takeaways for our listeners? What should they be pondering as they go about their day?
I think the most important thing is to keep an open mind. Don't dismiss ideas just because they seem strange or unfamiliar. Explore them, question them, and see how they resonate with you.
Don't be afraid to challenge the status quo, to think outside the box, to explore the fringes of what's considered possible.
Ask yourself, what resonates most with you from Kushi's ideas? How might understanding Ki, or the interconnectedness of the universe, impact your daily life?
What possibilities does the concept of transmutation open up for solving our current challenges?
And most importantly, what role do you want to play in shaping the future? Do you want to be a passive observer or an active participant in this cosmic dance?
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. So as we sign off today, remember to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep that mind open to the infinite possibilities that exist all around us. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into other dimensions.